Okay, so we are going to talk today about staying on your highest timeline and connecting with that confident, aligned, wealthy version of you. Now, this is the best time to be really anchoring and connecting into that highest timeline, because we've just been through the summer solstice where the energy was really intense. And what has happened, and those of us that have done the work, which I know if you are here and you have done the work, most of us are now kind of moving on to this new timeline that has come in with these solstice energies. So this is the perfect time to look at, what do I need to do to stay on that highest timeline so that we're consciously making that choice? Because one of the things that I see very frequently is this push-pull effect, this push-pull with our energy, like we're on it, we're motivated, we're on the path, we're like heading towards that dream, that vision, that goal, and then something happens to pull us back. Or the push kind of happens in that we're pushing ourselves out of alignment. So we're pushing ourselves into something that is not in alignment for us because we haven't got that yes first from our body before we go out and do that thing, of course. So when we so this is why that alignment is important and that listening is important to ourselves, to also stay on that timeline. Because if we are pushing ourselves out into something that is actually a no for us in our body, and that's what's going to cause overwhelm, that's what's going to cause burnout, and that's what's going to ultimately take us off this timeline. So right now I've had these incredible energies coming in the solstice, and last week I took myself out. Me and Coral, we took ourselves out at the solstice, and we always do. We always find a way. There's always a local festival that's run around that time that we that's like really intense and not great energy. So we always like get ourselves away for the solstice one way or another, and actually take ourselves out so that we can navigate like that collective timeline shift that's happening in a way that's really grounded, and we're looking after ourselves, we have that space, we have that time. So these energies have been big, and there's a bit of a dance going on with these timelines. So you may have shifted onto this new timeline, onto this highest timeline for you, especially if you've done that inner work. But there is that potential for this push-pull if we don't continue it. So a few things, and I'm going deeper into this in the Aligned Abundance Activator, which is my free workshop on the 4th of July. So if you haven't already got your spot on that, get that now. And you can join that live on Zoom, or there will be a replay sent out. We're going to go into this in depth and work through specifically for you, what is your highest timeline? Like, what is holding you back from that, and doing the work on that, and stepping into doing your authentic work and your authentic work formula that you're here to do, that your soul is here to do on this planet. We're going to be working all of that through in this workshop. So if you haven't already got your spot on that, I'll pop the link into comments. In fact, I'll do it now. And you can get your spot on that. Okay, so what tends to happen with not maintaining that highest timeline is the most common thing that I see happen is not listening to your body, because your body will tell you everything. So I'd like you today to reflect on, just to bring this to life, just reflect on a time that you made a decision that was the right one. And let me know in comments, where do you feel that in your body? And how does that feel for you in your body? So a decision that you made that was the right decision. So when I think about when I did my TEDx and I stood on that stage, when I applied for TEDx, I had really extreme anxiety. In fact, I was even labelling it as an anxiety disorder, which is just ridiculous. It wasn't an anxiety disorder, I was just sensitive and I wasn't in alignment at the time. So when I applied, like, my mind was saying no, but my body was saying yes, like that song. my body was saying yes, it felt expansive, it felt aligned, but like everyone in my life, well, most people in my life were like, why are you doing that? Why are you pushing yourself through? Like, why stand on that stage at TEDx? Like, surely that's going to be too much for you. But I knew in my body that that was the right decision, and that was incredible, and that opened up so many doors, and this kind of led me to where I'm at now. And the moment that I got that email through to say, you've made it through to the final 30, they're going to talk on stage that day, my whole body lifted. I think I even jumped in the air, okay? It was this expansive feeling. So let me know when you tuned into your thing, was it that expansive feeling? So that is our yes in our bodies. It's like, yes, expansive, excited. Is that excited? Does that feel fun? Is it expansive for me? Okay, that will be your yes. If you don't get a response or you're not sure, then it might be wait and see. So don't say yes to it until you know. Sometimes I need a bit more information. So I might say, can you just give me some more information so I can just tune into this a bit further and feel into my body? But if it is a no, it is constricted. Okay, in my body it would be like, nope, closed off. And I think for so many years, and this held me back from that highest timeline. And ultimately, we're also leaving money on the table here as well, because this is about our wealth as well. And when we're on that highest timeline, when we're in that flow and we're doing the work that we're here to do, we're actually creating real sustainable wealth. So trust me, I've created wealth from a misaligned timeline. When I was working in corporate, I had like the dream career in corporate, and I was receiving bonuses and things like that. So don't get me wrong, like in the past, I've created misaligned wealth, and that works to an extent, but the world has now shifted, okay? So we now need to be creating that aligned, sustainable, heart-centered businesses that are in alignment with ourselves, okay? So ultimately, if we're not listening to our body, we're leaving money on the table, okay? Like, what is the cost? Like, this is so important. I really want you to take this point away today. What is the cost of not listening to your body? And you might say the cost is burnout. So I had something, I can remember a specific example where I didn't listen to my body. This situation then led to burnout. And then if you go, okay, well, what's the cost of that burnout? So if you just keep going, you will find an energetic cost, and usually you will find there is a financial cost. So I know for me that if I get into burnout, that has an impact on my business, that has an impact on my clients, that has an impact on the amount of money that I can even hold, because my energy is like, I'm in burnout, like everything get out right now, okay? So if you're not in alignment, you're actually leaving money on the table. So what I want to guide you to reflect on today, and if this is resonating with you, then sign up to the Aligned Abundance Activator. This is free. Like, we are working through this in this space, and we go deeper into this in the Quantum Alignment Program, so that you have your aligned business that you are working on every day, okay? So this is what I really want you to reflect on. What is the cost of not listening to my body? Because you'll find there is there's an energy cost, there'll be a financial cost. There's always a financial cost when there's an energy cost, okay? So this is the biggest thing that I see, and someone asked this in the group, how do we stay on our highest timeline? This is the biggest thing. Not listening to our bodies pulls us off that timeline. And for a lot of us, and this is through no fault of our own, remember the brain is wired to the negative. The brain is wired to the negative. If we've experienced some childhood trauma, if we've had the belief over the years that others are the authority over ourselves, and go watch my last video on this in the group, which is you are the authority, okay? You are the authority. So we have to transform and transmute these beliefs that we have that we are not the authority to be able to step into that space of body truth, and then be able to stay on this timeline. So this is where I see this push-pull dynamic happening, where it's like we're on it, everything's in flow, clients and money are coming in, and then like it suddenly stops, or we have burnout. Like what I see happens, I would say pretty much all the time, maybe 99% of the time, It's because we haven't listened to our body. Okay. Now, another thing I want to talk about with this timeline is the duality piece. So what you're going to find, especially if you're doing the inner work and you're doing the somatic work, which again, this is what we do in quantum alignment. The doors will be opening up for this soon. We're going to be working more deeply on this in this program. This is also where things like somatic work are important, because if we regulate our nervous system, we can also stay on this timeline. Now, what does this higher timeline not mean? I'm just going to make this really clear, because in the spiritual space, I find this gets a little bit misconstrued. So it doesn't mean that you're not going to experience duality. It doesn't mean that life isn't going to happen, that shit isn't going to happen, because shit happens, right? That is part of life. What you will find though is you will find less drama and less dramatic people around you, less, and this also comes in a conscious choice, right? If, again, what's the cost of your energy? Like, where is that going, and who's around you and all that kind of thing. But when you are on this highest timeline, you'll also be able to navigate that duality, and you'll start to find that when something happens, you can respond to that thing and be there. Say it's, it involves someone else, you can be there for someone else, and you can regulate yourself, and you can still be there for you and show up for you and show up in your business, okay? So this is another part of that highest timeline, and this is another thing I see that pulls us off it, is that duality. And trust me, I know, because I used to fight that duality until the cows came home. I used to be like, right, that's it. I can't deal with all this drama from all these people around me anymore, and I need to go off on retreat. So I used to take myself on retreat all the time to hide from reality, because then it was justified, and then I could say, look, I'm on retreat, so don't contact me. Instead of managing my boundaries, not answering texts if that wasn't, in alignment for me in that moment, saying yes, saying no, making it really clear what I was and wasn't available for, okay? So this duality piece of life happens, shit happens, like when we're on that timeline, we can navigate that with ease. And this is why that holistic piece is important of energy and energy clearing, because this stuff can also be energy and entities that just need clearing. And I see this time and time again with clients when we do the quantum alchemy sessions. We clear the energy, we clear the entities, and they're back on the timeline, okay? So this could be really simple, but this is where this holistic piece for you needs to come in around, is it just energy that needs clearing? Do I need to do some shadow work around it? And like, what choices am I making, and where am I in my power? Because this is ultimately a choice, but we need to do the work around that choice, okay? So we need to make that conscious choice to say, like, this is the vision, this is the timeline that I'm holding myself to, like, this is what I'm available for. And then of course, we'll then see what we're not available for. And we need to stay true to that space of power, of boundaries, of saying no. Remember, the more things we say no to, the more we're allowing up yeses for. And there was a stage in my life where I was like a complete hermit. I couldn't even go to the supermarket. I didn't go to parties, I didn't go to pubs, I didn't go to restaurants, because I was feeling all the energies intensely. And this didn't mean anything. It didn't mean I had anything wrong with me. It didn't mean I was broken. It literally meant I was just navigating that phase of my life where I was shifting and changing and moving into this timeline, and I needed to be like, no, that's not in alignment for me, no. And I'm actually going to a fancy dress party at the weekend, so I'm actually now come out of that phase, and I am doing things, but only if they are a yes in my body, okay? If they are a yes in my body, then I will do them, and I will follow that through, and I will stay on that timeline. And it might even be a decision has to be made, like, okay, right, I know there's this party at the weekend, so how can I bring in some masculine structures around that and some boundaries around that, or perhaps a time limit that I'm there, pre-plan to go home at a certain time or have a taxi at a certain time. Like, what structures do I need so that I stay on my timeline, okay? So we want to bring in, like, we want to be able to have this feminine flow, but we don't want that flow to become like so leaky that we're not fully on the timeline because we're not fully making those choices from a place of empowerment. We need to have those masculine structures and boundaries in place as well. And this is ultimately what keeps us on this timeline, okay? And this is where I see this dance, like on or off, on or off. And this new timeline is available to us all, but your timeline will be authentic to you. And this is what the Aligned Abundance Activator is going to be all about. So do sign up to that. The link is in the comments, and we are going to go deeper into this. So as a reminder of the things that we have talked about today, where are we doing for time? Okay. So the things that I see where people are dancing between timelines. So not listening to our bodies was the first one. So body truth. So do that. Tune in and let me know in comments, where do you, just checking that comments are actually coming through. Where do you listen to your body? What does it feel like, a situation in the past that that has been the right decision for you? How does that feel in your body when you reflect on that decision? And tuning into that body truth, moment to moment to moment as you move forward. And then secondly, like reflecting on the cost of that. Like, what is the cost of not listening to my body? I'm listening to my body right now, I'm really thirsty. Okay, what is the cost of not listening to my body? Is there an energy cost? Is there a financial cost? You're probably leaving money on the table by doing that. And how can you use that to help inform your decision? Okay, and I don't like to act off pain. Like, I'd much prefer that we kind of go, right, how do we create a life that we love, and we work towards that? But sometimes we almost need to have that pain and have that experience and have that awareness of a cost to motivate us enough to make the change, and to motivate us into like, okay, right, let's turn this around now. Rather than trying to fix this problem of where I'm constantly coming off this timeline, how do I create a life I love where I'm on that timeline now and I'm doing those actions daily, okay? And then this is where that confidence comes in as well, and that wealth and alignment, because when we're really clear on who we are, what our timeline is, what we're available for, what we're not available for, where we're going to say yes, where we're going to say no, listening to our bodies, this is when everything shifts and changes for us, okay? And we can get into that space of aligned work and being paid for that aligned work and working with the quantum field. And this is another thing, which is just new thing coming through that I haven't mentioned, and that is we have access to the entirety of the quantum field. And one of the things I see, so this is the third thing, one of the things that I see with women, again, leaving money on the table here as well, is that you're not working with the entirety of the quantum field. You're not working with the quantum. You're not working with source consciousness, okay? You might be working in a pocket of energy or a certain energy modality. And potentially for some women, I'm not going to get deep into this, but one of the awarenesses I've had that we've been really talking about in the membership lately is false light in the 4D. A lot of people are working in the 4D and don't realise that they are, okay? Because this is in the space of false light, it appears to be something that is like connected to source consciousness, and it is not, okay? So this is where that energy piece comes in. So like energy, boundaries, and then just being empowered and being in your truth. Again, if you're working with the 4D unknowingly, you're also leaving money on the table. Okay, because you have access to so much more. You have access to 3D, obviously, this reality, 4D, which we actually want to kind of bypass by doing shadow work to make sure we're not a vibrational match for that, and then 5D and beyond, and all the way up to source consciousness, okay? I see this as like all the way up in the ether. We have access to all of this, okay? We have access, looks like I'm showing you my face. We have access to all of this. We have access to all of this. Okay, so you're leaving money on the table because your aligned work that you are here to do is all of this. You are here because you are an expression of source consciousness. So why would you limit yourself? Why would you not work with the entirety of the quantum field and how that works? And this is also why I use the word quantum in all my content, all my programs, because I want you to be the best version of you and have access to the entirety of that field, to the entirety of energy, to the entirety of your manifestations and what you are here to do, because you are a quantum queen. If you are here, you are a quantum queen, and you have that ability on that highest timeline to do the work that you are here to do, which is incredibly potent and powerful in energy. Like, crazy example of this morning. I literally said to Coral yesterday, I need to get some pallets because I'm feeling creative and I want to make something out of pallets for the garden, which is not something I usually do. So this just kind of came in yesterday. I've come to my friend's house today. I'm dog sitting for her today. And when I got here, there was 2 pallets in her driveway. And I said, what are you doing with these? And she said, oh, I've just put them out there to get rid of. Okay, so these manifestations, when you're in this alignment space, these manifestations happen just like that. So I know if you're watching this, you have that magic as well. You have that magic. And I want you to know that that is available for you. And that is what your highest timeline is. Okay? So any questions, let me know. Come and join us on the 4th of July in the Aligned Abundance Activator, because we are going to be tuning you in to your highest timeline. I'm so excited. In the Quantum Wealth Activation, we're going to be looking at some of these things that are stopping you from aligning to that, and actively workshopping on this in the session, and then looking at what is your aligned work formula, what is your authentic work formula that you are here to do in the world, that you are here to be paid for on your highest timeline. And if you have not done this work, like I say, you are leaving money on the table, because everything comes back to that body truth. What is authentic for me? What is in alignment? And what am I going to say yes? And what am I going to say no to? So any questions? Let me know. Lots of